Let's begin today's collaborative planning meeting with successes and challenges. Who would like to volunteer some successes? You are all required to volunteer successes.
My students are not understanding verse structure. We have been working on it for 3 days and it's making it hard to teach poetry.
That is not a success. You need to mention a success from this week.
There have not been any. Today is Tuesday and Monday was a holiday.
See, it was not hard to find a success. Stop being so negative, and we can get more done. Does anyone have a challenge to volunteer?
I have a challenge. My students are not understanding verse structure.
How do you know that they don't understand? Where's your test data?
I haven't given the test yet, but I know that they don't understand the material.
Then how do you know that they don't understand?
They told me.
But if you don't give the assessment, how can you know where your students are?
They told me they don't understand what I'm talking about. The students raised their hands and said we do not understand verse structure. They also presented a notarized petition and held a press conference. They compared last night's homework to translating the Bhagavad Gita into Klingon from its native Sanskrit, then translated a passage in front of me to show that it was less difficult. The homework asked them to count how many verses are in the 12 days of Christmas. There are 12. It's in the title. They assured me, as I assure you, that they do not understand verse structure.
But if you don't give the assessment, how can you know where your students are?
Fine. I gave a test. They scored a negative 38%.
That is a low score. They definitely don't understand verse structure. Have you taught verse structure yet?
Yes. For 3 days.
Which lesson are you on? The pacing calendar says you should be on lesson 12 of poetry.
No, I am supposed to be on lesson 6. The unit started last week and yesterday was a holiday.
But today is October 12th. So it should be lesson 12.
No. The unit started on Monday, October 4th. Then there was a weekend and a holiday. So today is the 6th day of the unit.
But today is October 12th. So it should be lesson 12.
You are reading the date, not the lesson number. Under the date it says lesson 6. I am supposed to be on lesson 6.
But today is October 12th. So it should be lesson 12. That's why the 12 is the largest number. Pacing is the most important thing, so the lesson number is the biggest number. Have you ever read a curriculum? This is how good teachers teach. You have to assess, and you have to plan, and you have to stick to the pacing so everybody is on the same page. If teachers are not teaching the same thing on the same day, how will they know what they are teaching? Even castles made of sand fall into the sea eventually. And you can't know what you're teaching if you didn't assess student strengths and weaknesses for your differentiation when you collaboratively plan standards of teaching pedagogy. I have observed lots of classrooms the past 2 weeks and nobody is planning correctly. You are not planning correctly. You saw when I was in your room the kids picked up the material like it was nothing. The kids are not dumb, and you keep acting like they are dumb, but they just need to express themselves differently. That is why we differentiate and let students express their intelligence. You have to be flexible and ask more open-ended questions. You don't do that. You just ask them why they thought the way they do, and that's not open-ended. You need to ask open-ended questions, so they have to give you the right answer. That's assessment, and it's why we need to collaboratively plan.
Do you have any idea what you were saying, or are your brain and mouth completely detached from each other? You are just randomly dropping educational-sounding words because they were on a chart you saw in your last meeting. The precious few sentences that did make any sense completely contradicted each other. And at some point I think you were quoting Jimi Hendrix.
Your classroom needs a word wall.
It has 2. They are labeled word wall in 6-inch yellow letters.
They are supposed to be interactive. It needs to have the interact. And your students need to be seated so they can look at the front and the back of the room at the same time.
You can see forwards and backwards at the same time.
They should be able to see all 4 walls without turning their heads, because that would be too restrictive. Your classroom must not have walls.
I am going to walk away now.
You did not complete the BCR for this meeting.